Welcome back. If you're joining us today for the first time, I would encourage you to go back and review our first episodes. What we've established so far, first of all, the idea of Tachlis Abriya that we picked up in the Ramchal, that the point in this world is eventually to build up the tools to have Izdapkis Bashem, a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the world to come, and that everything in this world, including parenting, and especially parenting, is a tool to build up our ability to have that relationship, and for our children potentially to have that relationship. We discussed the idea that as a parent, we're a partner with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Gimel Shutfim Ba'adam, and as a partner in that relationship, we must become the guide for our children, for them to build their relationship. And of course, since we have the original partner, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we must learn from him how to become a parent. And of course, we discussed the idea that the first prerequisite is the idea of respect, why we should respect our children in this relationship. We discussed the idea of Tzelem Elikim, which we see in the Torah immediately in the beginning of the Torah, that the worthiness of a person is not because he's a human being, but rather because of Tzelem Elikim. But as soon as we have these basic foundations, we see the value in them, because we see that not only do they give us an understanding of why we have to go through this, but they actually teach us all the basic lessons and tools that we need. So let's go through them, and let's start with a basic understanding that if we look at the birth of Klal Yisrael as a nation that happened by Yetzias Mitzrayim. Klal Yisrael went into Mitzrayim as a family, Bnei Yaakov. They left Mitzrayim as a nation. That episode, that time, was there to build a birth of a nation. For Kavayachal Klal Yisrael to become children of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when we look at that time, we see again and again and again the most important lessons that we need to parent our children. Reb Simcha Wasserman tells us that in Mitzrayim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu only wanted to teach us three things: the fact that he exists, the fact that he cares, and the fact that he communicates. So he sent Moshe Rabbeinu to show us all these three things. He showed us that he exists. He showed us Eke, Yeshem Eke, I'm there. Wherever you are, I am there, as a parent should be. He showed us that he cared and he took care of us, and he showed us that he's there to communicate with us. He sent a human being. Instead of sending a baskol, he sent a human being saying, I'm here, I'm communicating, I'm waiting for you to respond. And as we see later in the story of the Torah tells us HaKadosh Baruch Hu waited for Moshe to give him the response of Klal Yisrael. He was communicating with Klal Yisrael all along. Those three factors are the first things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did in order to prepare us to become a nation, to become children of Kavayachal HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In order for a parent to become a parent, the first step has to be these three things. The child has to know of my existence. To this day, scientists will say that a father and a mother should try and sing or talk to their child even before they're born. Let them know you exist. Let them know you care, and communicate. The first 3 points in becoming a parent, in becoming a parent who learns from the first shutta from HaKadosh Baruch Hu how to guide their child. But of course, we have respect. We understand that we need to have respect for Tzelem Elikim. We understand that I have to let the child know that I exist. I have to let the child know that I care, and I have to communicate. But of course, we know that the child has to trust us. If we're ever going to have a relationship with a child, they have to trust us. So let's turn back and look again at what HaKadosh Baruch Hu did in Mitzrayim. Something that we see Reb Simcha Wasserman would call consideration and concern. HaKadosh Baruch Hu first of all made sure that we were aware of ourselves. No more can we look at ourselves as avodim, as slaves, as people who have no meaning on their own, who work for others for no fee, just because they're being told to do so. First, even though we were not out of Mitzrayim, but to 12 months, there was a pregnancy period. There was a time where Klal Yisrael had to go through a time. They were not out of Mitzrayim yet. They were not the nation Klal Yisrael yet. But they were no more avodim. They first had to be aware of themselves. They had to be aware of the people around them. And concern. HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to show them, I'm going to give and give and give and give, unconditional giving. Of course, there were important lessons to be taught in Mitzrayim even, as we'll discuss by Makas Choshech. Later in the Midbar, there were lessons. But the giving was purely unconditional. The open miracles that happened to Klal Yisrael were completely unconditional. And that is how a parent earns the trust of their child. Of course, first you have to let them know you exist. You have to communicate with them. You have to care for them. But if you want them to trust you, you need to be willing to give unconditionally. Reb Simcha Wasserman once said, if you are going to give something to your child because you want to smile, you want them to smile at you, you want them to give you a hug or a kiss, that's not giving, that's taking. Rabbi Akiva Tatz once said, if you want to give something to someone, but you have to stop and think first, you're not giving, you're trading. It's an arrangement. If I have to think before I give, if I have to think, what am I getting in return? I'm not giving, I'm trading. If we want to build up trust in our children, we have to learn from the first partner, from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as he parented Klal Yisrael, unconditional giving. When Chazal tell us, Maisa of a Siman Lebonim, this is not just another line in Chazal, none of which what Chazal says is another line. But this one specifically is very literally. If we want to know how to train and how to guide our children, if we want to know how to become parents, we have to look at the story of HaKadosh Baruch Hu parenting Klal Yisrael Ma'aseh Avasim Lebanim. Unconditional giving was the first thing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did in order to earn our trust. And this is literally why HaKadosh Baruch Hu did it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted us to be able to go into the Midbar, as we will eventually discuss in Yirtzeh Hashem. The idea of Klal Yisrael going to the Midbar with pure trust. How was that built up? That was built up with complete unconditional giving. As long as the child knows everything I'm getting is for my own good, as long as the child knows my parent exists, they care, they communicate, and everything they do is giving. Nothing is taking, nothing is trading. They're not doing it because they want to smile. They're not doing it because they want nachas. What will happen is that even when you do something they don't like, they will still trust you. They will still love you because they know you're not doing it for your own sake. You're doing it for them. So even if they don't like it, and even if they really don't like it, they will still trust you. Because as long as you're giving, you're teaching them to trust. Now, of course, we have to get back to one point. If this is a relationship, how do we trust them? The answer is, you can't trust them yet. HaKadosh Baruch Hu couldn't trust Klal Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu took them through the Midbar. HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to take them through Barak Sinai. And then another 40 years in the Midbar. There was a lot of things happening in between. But we can trust the fact that we were sent by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. These children that are given to us by HaKadosh Baruch Hu as our challenge, as our tafkid in this world to get us closer to Him, as our tafkid in this world to get us closer to the potential relationship that we can have with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that we can have with our children, that they can have with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and they can put forward to the generations to come. As we discussed, this is Yeshiva Olam. We have to trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the sender. And when we trust in that, we can put that trust in our children. This series is produced by TorahWire.org, sponsored by the DonorsFund.org. For all your charitable giving, completely free and a really efficient and enjoyable experience. Open your account today at the DonorsFund.org. Thank you and have a wonderful day.